Okay, so everybody just missed Philip arriving from Belgrade. So everybody, let's give him a round of applause for making it from Belgrade, Serbia, his hometown to Durant, Oklahoma, just to join our interview. Um, like to thank everybody for being here today. And my name is Cameron Coley. I work in student support services at Southeastern Oklahoma State University. I am joined today by my co-host, Philip Pavlovich, originally from Belgrade, Serbia. We've worked together for about 5 years now, and we had this idea to join people.
5.5, Cameron.
Oh, 5.5. So,
Yeah.
C Phil's better at math than I am. We had this idea to hear, have a space for, hear student stories and have a space for students to share, and trio professionals to share their stories of the successes that students have had as a result of participation in trio programs. So, we show the variety of trio programs across the board that are offered in every state in the nation. There's stu pre-collegiate programs that work with students to get them into something after high school, whether that's a junior college or a bachelor's degree granting institution. Or we have programs that while students are in college, collegiate trio programs, where students can participate in all of the free services that are offered to get that student to graduation or to help prepare that student for graduate school. That's one goal. So we show all the TRIO programs, professionals that work in those programs, and student stories in those programs. And then the second goal of this TRIO Talks podcast is that students who have benefited greatly from these programs and seen success in their life, they tell stories of how their career, either current or future career, has really grown and evolved from being in a trio program, or they tell the story of how, you know, where they started was in this income bracket, in this socioeconomic level, and now because of trio, they've really been able to succeed in the career of their choice because of going to something post high school. Their opportunities and their income is so much more greater and available to them. And then the third goal is that we talk about giving back. And the whole point of really working in education is you see the dividends and return on investment in students. And seeing can be believing, hearing can be believing. And so the speaker and Philip and I interviewing the person talk about how the person has learned gratitude and how they practice gratitude so that we're teaching gratitude to people listening. One of the really remarkable things that I like about this job is that you see people change over time. And I'm going to hand it over to Philip to introduce the person, but really the person speaking today has grown so much. And you can see people change from year two to year five, or year one in college to year four, however long it takes the person to finish. It's not how long, it's how much impact the education has on the person and how much the person really interacts with what we do. And I think you will really see that from today's speaker. So I'll hand it over to Philip to introduce Carlos.
Thank you, Cameron, and I appreciate allowing me to uh, catch a moment to to prepare because again, I every Thursday I have to run to the airport, from the airport, and then with the weather, it gets a little crazy. So it's hectic, but we make it work. So our fourth speaker, I have an honor to introduce to you Carlos Vega, who is originally from Tioga, Texas, majoring in health and physical education, expecting to graduate this coming fall of 2026. He has participated in Student Support Services Teach, which is a trio program for students majoring in education since 2022. And since last year, he is also in the McNair Scholars program. During the fall of 2025, Carlos was chosen to represent Southeastern Oklahoma State University in a statewide NASA Educator Professional Development, focusing on STEM activities in all education subject areas. He also aspires to attend graduate school studying exercise science. And in addition to this introduction, I do have to also brag a little bit. Um, I can let Carlos talk more about this, but here at SSS, we started utilizing not long ago the system that is based on the Ron Clark Academy, and Carlos is actually one of the student house leaders for my house, Amistad, and that's pretty exciting. And again, as I said, I can let him maybe touch on that a little bit later. But now, Carlos, welcome, and uh, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the role that Trio has played in where you are today. Basically, just reflect on that.
Absolutely. So what first started my journey in trio is I went back to high school. I'm sorry, my last semester of high school. I was told by my parents to pursue further education. I didn't really know what I wanted to pursue at that time, so I just applied to somewhere convenient, somewhere close to home. So that's where I found Southeastern. And my first year of college, I went without knowing what student support services was and what trio was until I came across one of the trio staff and they introduced me into the program. They asked me to apply, and so I applied. At that time, I didn't know much about what the program entailed, and then I've always been the type of person to make the most out of the opportunities that are provided to me, and that's what I've done throughout trio. Is all the workshops that have been provided, the workshops, the professional developments, any sort of a deal that had to do with trio, I would always try to attempt to be a part of if I had the time to be. And that's how I felt I've grown. I've had opportunities to speak in front of crowds through trio. That has helped me build communication skills, become a better professional speaker. I've gone to educator professional developments that have changed me and being able to change the or impact the lives of many generations to come as an educator. So
Now, I do have to say also, I did meet you, Carlos, probably when you were a freshman, when you just started. And to be honest, as you just, Cameron mentioned first, and you just touched on it, I had no clue who you were, pretty much mostly because you were so silent, not that outgoing. So even when I would see you around, I wouldn't really know much about you or that you're even a student in the program. And just to witness how that shifted and how that all transitioned to where you are today, only a couple years later. And again, to being one of the leaders of this house system, that speaks for itself. You said at the beginning you talked to your parents about what are you going to do school wise. Now, did you know as soon as you enrolled what are you going to do as far as major, or was that something that you were figuring out as you went?
yes, of course, I had no clue what I wanted to do, and what helped me decide to stick with physical education and physical education in particular is I spoke with the director of the program, and she kind of guided me into believing that I should stick with what I enjoy doing and that I enjoy sports. So that's what stuck out to me the most. It was either hyper health and human performance or health and physical education, and then went down those both roads to see where I would end up on the hyper side, and that was appealing. But I felt like I always had to this sort of feeling inside of me that I would like to inspire future generations and give them the experience that I never had in sports, is making them feel a part of a second family.
Awesome. I like that. Being a sports person myself, I can definitely relate to that. Now let's go back to being in trio specifically. Could you tell us, and if you need to take a moment to think through this because it we're all different. Uh, could you tell us about the memory that you have of when trio did really help you stay at school? So something that perhaps you had a moment when you were, rethinking and whether you're going to continue or not with your education as a whole. Any moment that you can think back and say, well, thanks to being the part of the trio program, I am where I am today, and I'm still here.
Of course, yes. I can think back to sophomore year. I was finishing up my some of my gen eds that I still needed to finish. There was one semester where I had dropped 3 courses because it just felt overwhelming at the time. And like I mentioned before, I'm a first generation student, so I didn't have that guidance from my parents to kind of walk me through the college experience the first 2 years. So I felt like I was on my own on that part. It was difficult. I would say gen eds were definitely a make it or break it deal because it's not you take courses that you're not really interested in, so you lose that motivation to continue to go to school. And with the support of Trio, they just helped me remind me that take it day by day instead of being overwhelmed of the time that I have left on my progress bar. They instead told me to take it day by day and guide me into being able to kind of walk me through the assignments that were needed for that course, and that helped me to get to where I am now, into my last going into my last semester.
Can you
Very
explain what the status bar, the progress bar that you're talking about? Because some of the people may not have the advising system that we have for students to see how far you're going along with your degree. So I know that was a big, that's you've talked about that before. So can you explain what that is if anybody uses a system that's unlike the system here at Southeastern Oklahoma State University?
Okay, I will try my best to describe it in a way that's not similar to ours. For us, our progress bar, for me, since I didn't have very many, I did have dual credit courses in high school, so my bar was somewhat filled up. I'd say. So let's say that, you have chosen a specific major. You have to get through your gen eds, and that in total you have to have a certain amount of hours at a university in order to graduate with a degree. Let's say it's 130 credit hours. I would say I only had at least, let's say, 12 hours when I first started my freshman year. The progress bar for me is completing, for a full-time student, each semester is 12 hours. So completing each semester is 12 hours added to that progress bar. And my sophomore year, I'd say I wasn't even a third of the way of my progress bar being complete. So that at that point, I was still in the mindset of college isn't for me. I didn't want to continue. And through that, I would say the progress bar is just seeing, putting those courses that you've completed aside, and then just looking forward to the progress plan that you have set for that specific major.
And so now that you're at the end, how does it feel to see that bar being filled up?
It definitely makes me realize that there's this one saying that I've always reminded myself is, um struggle now so your future can succeed. So what that means is, uh go through all the hard struggles now while you're young, to set up for a bright future. Because no one starts, everyone starts from at some point. We don't all start from the prestigious level, so everyone has their story. My story is that we'll start from the bottom and build your way up. Is the summary of it. And that progress bar has little by little creeped up, and now it's at the breaking point. That just like that reminds me that all that hard work paid off.
So knowing that trio is part of that, moving that progress bar along little by little each semester, who were the people that worked in Student Support Services Teach or McNair that helped you move that and make progress in that journey of, next fall is going to be your last semester?
Everyone in the trio staff had played an important role in my academic journey, whether it be um, sort of counseling where they walked me through on how to time manage, or the director helping me enroll into classes and giving me an overview of what those courses entail, and an advisor that's not even my advisor allowing me to come in and just vent to them about what's going on in my life and how I can kind of shift my focus over to school and take that and just move forward. So I believe every staff on campus has played an important role in my academic success.
Well,
Let's go back to the first question, and similar to that, I just want to kind of role play it a little. So you talked about the role the trio played in your life and where you are today. Let's imagine, or you go ahead and imagine going back to when you started college if trio didn't exist. Or maybe let's not be that rough, especially these days. Trio did exist, it still does, but not for you. You had no clue about it. Nobody at Southeastern that you met told you about it, so you're about to go through 4 years of school and college without being participant of trio program. Now, if you can imagine that, try and tell yourself and tell us as well, how would your life look like without it? So both as your personality and your education, um, where do you think you would be if you were not part of the program?
So for me, being a part of the program, there was an incentive to continue to further my education, my academic success, semester by semester, with either being trips or grenades. But if I were not in the trigger programs, I'd believe I would still be in the situation my sophomore year where I didn't see college being a thing for me. So I'd probably be in the workforce right now, struggling to find or going from job to job, because initially I didn't have that parental support to walk me through the college experience as I have with Trio, being able to. I'm more of a getting to know people face to face type person. So having that, building those relationships with the Trio staff has really helped me to keep that incentive back in the back of my mind of I have a support group surrounding me that wants to see me succeed, and that's their mission, is to see their students in their program succeed. So I had a thought that slipped away. But yeah, I would say that I wouldn't be in my last semester finishing my college degree.
Yeah, and tell us a little more about Carlos. So other than besides the staff that did help you on your way to where you are today, what are some other things that you've been doing in the past 4 years of school outside of classes and studying that you think today is what helped you be where you are? So as far as mental and physical health. And you did talk about how sports and just being physically active does help you. But what is specifically something that you've been utilizing? Let's put it that way.
Oh, that just gave me a thought. Exactly. Just oh, back to my last point. Uh, without Trio, the advising on the school side of things, they don't really walk you through to what the courses entail, and that's what helped me with Trio. Speaking to my advisor through Trio is giving me more of that or building that one-on-one relationship in person. That's what really helped me to uh, form that a support group behind me to continue my academic success. And uh, my past experience in high school, I was a runner, a cross country runner, long distance, and that helped me understand that um, life isn't a sprint. It's a long distance journey. You don't achieve your goal in a day. We didn't land on the moon overnight. It's a
Hmm.
long process, and that's what has helped me. And also with um, I like to work out. I like fitness training. Has also helped me realize that life is a long journey. It's not an overnight deal. You don't build progress overnight. So yeah, working out, uh, speaking to someone in the trail staff that whenever I need to improve my mental health, because these past 2 semesters, it's been my time management has been pretty slim. I've struggled with time management these past 2 semesters just because of how busy I was with school, balancing school life, and then of course the professional development that I was a part of, and other factors in my personal life that where time management was a high importance of mine.
Good. I like that. Yeah. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And
That's
for
right.
students as yourself, one bad grade won't determine your whole college career. One bad semester won't determine that either. So we gotta try our best to have that mindset. I do have one more
Absolutely.
question specifically that I'm listening to you and I'm thinking um, another scenario. What would Carlos from today, so as we speak, May 21st, 2026, say to Carlos as an 18-year-old, knowing what you know today and things that you've experienced in the past, few years, what would you say to your younger self? The advice.
Definitely don't drop courses. That's a starter. Don't drop courses. Take them on head on. They may seem intimidating at first, but just taking it day by day, uh, completing those small tasks, breaking up those big tasks into small tasks, and learn more financial literacy. And I would say find that support group that wants to see you succeed. Those are three things that I would say.
Good. And you did mention a few times professional development, so Darla wants us to remind you to talk about that a little.
Oh yes, that's another point. Is make the
That's
most
the
out of the
top.
opportunities. Yeah, make the most out of the opportunities that you're provided, whether it be professional developments, workshops, because you never know what those opportunities can bring you and what that networking can build, the communication skills that you can build, all sorts of skills that you can get from those professional developments that are provided through either the trail programs or ones that you can find out there for your specific major or career path. And those professional developments that I've been a part of, they have really helped me shape into the educator that I have always aspired to be. I didn't see myself before the professional developments. I didn't see myself. I didn't have the same mindset that I do now of how I can bring motivation into the classroom, motivation, discipline, and um, aspiration and keeping the wonder alive for students that I didn't have the same mindset I did back then as I do
So,
now.
Carlos, what's a professional development opportunity you've had this past fall and spring that you took part in that you could talk about what you did and what was required of you and what you learned from it?
Okay. I'll speak about the previous. I've been to. I'll speak about a little about the first one, the second one, and then I'll go more in detail about the one that you just asked me. So the first professional development that I attended was the Ron Clark Academy. Kind of how I'll speak about more about the house system. So it's like it gives students an incentive to give more or put more effort into their academics, and what that incentive is um it being a team effort instead of a solo effort. So bringing that into the classroom, I believe, will do wonders. And then for the there was a summer professional development that I was a part of, is Get Your Teach On, and that's what that entailed is bringing enthusiasm and um, a positive spirit into the classroom. That's a big one. You can't go into a classroom and be all mopey and be just straight faced the whole year around, because that reflects onto the students, and that is no good for the academics of the students. And so for the program that I was just part of, the professional development that I was just part of, it kind of it's similar to the past two, where you have to bring enthusiasm and a positive spirit into the classroom, but it goes more in depth about how we need to remind the students that excuse me, that there's hundreds of career paths. There's not just the ones that you see every day, like the first responders, the educators, something that you would see on a daily basis. There's more than just those that you see on camera. There's career paths in any direction that you go. So just reminding the students that they're not limited to the amount of choices and career paths that they can choose. And then that's what STEM really relays. That's the message that STEM relays to the students, is STEM has a wide variety of career paths that students can take. And that's what I learned from this professional development.
So, what organization did you collaborate with for the one that you participated in this past year? The
I
statewide
worked
one.
I worked for or not worked. It was a mentorship that was funded by NASA for educators in Oklahoma that want to bring or want to have the idea of how to bring STEM into their classroom. Since I am I will be a PE teacher. I now have ideas about how I can bring STEM into physical education. Before the professional development, I had no idea what STEM was. I knew what math and science was, but bringing technology and engineering into physical education, I believe that will help the visual learners understand how STEM is important and how you can apply it into any part into your daily life.
Okay, so the you've talked a lot about being in student support services teach for education majors at Southeastern. That you can be in student support services teach and gain information and experience from that. But you're also in McNair Scholars. And so what has been the benefit for you in being a part of McNair here at Southeastern Oklahoma State University?
Of course, I would say pursuing a graduate degree program seemed overwhelming at first, kind of like I mentioned before. At first, college was overwhelming for me, but now being experienced or being introduced to the sort of research experience, I now understand that breaking that big task into smaller steps is more manageable than seeing the whole big picture and feeling overwhelmed. So now I have inspirations to or an aspiration to pursue a master's degree in sports studies. So that would be something that I can see myself doing in the near future. Which before then I had no interest in pursuing a master's degree.
So it's really kind of opened up your eyes that that is possible.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So it's more like seeing is believing kind of thing.
That's right.
I
So,
want I want to go back just for a second to Ron Clark Academy, and I have a couple of follow-up questions if you want to share and be more specific. So first, for those that are listening, some of them might have no clue about what we're talking about, and then even those that do know about it, they for sure would want to hear uh, about your experience so far, even attending there. And we mentioned that we've established that through our program here recently. So you want to tell them just a little bit. You don't have to over explain, but just how would you tell them what is this about? So we mentioned it's not, you said it's not solo effort, it's more about the team effort, but more specifically, what's the goal and how does it look like?
Okay, of course. Uh, so the house system, it breaks students up into groups, and there's this incentive where if you do a certain or complete a certain to a certain extent, uh, succeed for your group, I would say it depends on the circumstance, but for the Ron Clark Academy, whenever you the incentive is at the end of the year they have a big celebration for the house that wins, of course. And in order to win, you have to stack up the points, which you receive points for doing good deeds like being kind, getting your work on time, getting putting in clear effort into your schoolwork. Um, there's other incentives, but if you don't do any of that, of course you wouldn't get any points. And
Mhm.
I would say it definitely depends on a certain circumstance. I can't elaborate too much on on a big picture of the house system, but I would say an overall picture is you break up a big group into categorized groups, and you provide an incentive um for I would say for like us and throughout the pilot program that we had this semester, our incentive was just to build communication skills and build those relationships with the students so we can get to know more about the students and not just be individualized and keep to ourselves.
And to sum up, so it's a system where within a program or within a school, uh, students are broken up into four different categories, four different houses where they each compete together as a team to gain those points for their own house. But essentially, all houses, all groups are working together as a big community. So it's pretty much, in other words, it's a community within a community, as we said it. And then my second question about that was specifically for you, participating in that pilot program that you mentioned and moving forward while you're still in school. How do you see that system benefiting you as a person, not only as a student, but just overall? Something that you've experienced, whether during the pilot program or when you were at the academy, just watching how they do it, or something that you're just seeing that is benefiting you in any aspect that you want to share?
I would say it helps me to get to know more, build more relationships than I would just going about my day. Having that community within the community, building those one-on-one relationships, which helps me in my future career and uh, getting to know the students more on a one-on-one basis rather than just keeping it broad and going about my day and teaching the students the subject matter. It's more about building those connections and seeing how I can improve their life experience by giving either wisdom, whether it be wisdom or just some small advice that could help them in their daily life.
Very good.
Okay, well, this brings us to segment three. So sometimes we need to teach something in order for people to learn it. So, Carlos, how have you seen people's actions match their words um, in the people that work in our office or people that work in Trio in general? Like, have you seen them? How have you seen them practice what they believe in their position, whatever it is in our office?
Whenever the director of the program, I always hear her mention that her goal is to want to see the students succeed, and that how that has been put into action is by providing these professional developments, providing these opportunities for the students to further their understanding of their certain career, if that be for project teach with professional developments, or it being small workshops that give students more intel about what their career path entails, or whether it be um all the trio staff wants their students to succeed, and it goes back to building that one-on-one relationship with the students. It's they put their work aside to meet with the students and build that one-on-one relationship with them, getting to know them more. And that's what's really important, because that, like I've mentioned before, is that's building a support group behind them that then gives an incentive for the student to continue to grow throughout their academic progress, is to see that building that support group that wants them to succeed.
So by feeling like you were part of a group of people that cared about you and they knew you and knew what your goal was, it helped you see that progress bar move closer to the finish line of fall 2026 is going to be my last semester.
Absolutely.
So, what do you do that helps you stay in an attitude of being thankful and being of service to other people?
I I remind myself on a daily that uh there was this one moment where the director of the program, I went into her office and I sat down and I was just asking about what's next in my program and how I would mention that it was overwhelming, and she just broke it down into something that felt meaningful, and she reminded me that we have someone above us watching us that has set a path for us, and I feel like that path has been very clear for me since that moment. Is ever since I turned to the man above, everything has seemed clear, and that's why I am close to finishing my degree and everything seems to be. I understand how why everything has happened the way the way it has, and now of course I see that bigger picture.
So, how do you envision you're going to take the experiences that you've seen trio staff or students before you, how they've given back and acted on what they believe is important and what they value? How do you think that you're going to practice that either, in your semester of student teaching or just tomorrow or in your future career? How are you going to pay that forward? How are you going to practice paying it forward like you've seen other people practice paying it forward?
I want to relay the same message onto my future students that we it's about building relationships and about caring and being kind to others, and that's how you relay the message that with that support group that you build through being those kind deeds, you will build that support group that you have an incentive to grow individually.
So you're going to help people by having, because other people helped you become part of a group that supports you, you're going to help other students find their group that supports them. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And I want to be that supportive system for those students to to grow academically, not just academically, but also personally.
You've had a lot of really good answers to a lot of these tough questions. So thank you very much for your time. And at this time, if someone wants to unmute and ask a question or put their comment or question in the chat feature, please do so now. There was um, there was someone that when you talked about the quote of struggling, so Alyssa Wiskowski from the Student Support Services office at Tulsa Community College, she said that that was a really beautiful quote. So she really liked your quote.
So let's see. What question do we have next for Carlos? While he is here, because just like with me and Cameron, because we can be here, there, everywhere, we can't promise that Carlos after this call is going to be available. So, and if you ask us to ask him afterwards, it might not work out. So this is your chance. Darla wants to know, are you shocked that you're entering your last semester?
Most definitely, it seems surreal. I'm almost at the finish line. It it felt overwhelming looking at it from my sophomore year, freshman year, but now that I'm here, it's all that hard work definitely paid off. And then, like I mentioned, it's taking those opportunities that were provided through not only the TRIO program, but others that came from TRIO. I'm definitely now at the position where I am now.
Alisa has no questions. She just wants to let you know that you did a great job. She thanks you for speaking with us, celebrating with us, and sharing your story.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I've really changed a lot.
And Darla told you that it would be here before you knew it.
Oh man, it sure has flown by.
Trey wants to know if you plan on teaching physical education in Texas, and if so, what part of Texas?
I would stay close to home here in Texas. I am uh
Well, you're not
an
in
hour
Texas, you're in Oklahoma. Well, actually, you are in Texas right now if you're home. Never
right now,
mind.
yes. Yeah, I'm just an hour east of Durant, just down 82, right on the border of Texas and Oklahoma. So yeah, I'd stay in this area, in between Durant and where I'm at here in Texas.
By the
And
lake,
who
right?
knows what's that?
By the lake.
Yes, yes, like Texoma. I would stay in this area. I would probably start with a small school, small size school, 50 students per grade, and then we'll see, build up from there. I'd like to start with being a elementary PE teacher, K through 5, and then at some point be a high school coach for cross country, and hopefully uh, form a team to then take to state. My ideal goal would be to bring a team to state and win that state ring.
I'm just gonna share with you something I've heard recently, even though I'm in sports my whole life, but every day you learn new things. And this is, it doesn't really matter at this point who did it come from, but I really it made me think and really appreciate that thought. This is for you when you start teaching and coaching. Your students do not necessarily want to hear how good you were when you were competing, but they want you to make them be better than you used to be. Just think about that and take that with you when you start coaching in high school and all these high school athletes that are running. That's it.
All right.
So I have another question. So I really do think that you've taken every opportunity, advantage of every opportunity that was offered to you here. Um, because not every student, goes on the a professional development opportunity to learn about how to motivate your students more or learn about the Ron Clark house system or goes on a trip to learning about careers available in nonprofit or art or music or anything like that. What was like the first exposure opportunity that you had an opportunity to go into, whether it be, a trip to tour a graduate school or a trip to learn about career in something outside of education, um, or a professional development opportunity. What was like the first one of those in college here that you were like, oh wow, like that truly like opened up your mind and you were like, this is, I'm going to stay and take advantage of these opportunities because I'm really enjoying this and I'm learning so much. What was like do you remember the time when it was the first time when you were like, oh, I'm going to do more of this?
And there's been a lot that I've been a part of. It's hard to take my mind back to that specific moment, but the second I was in or I was accepted into the trio programs, I remember going on my first trip to I remember it being a zoo, but I can't remember where exactly. And that's whenever I met Bree, and we kind of talked the whole way there, and she has already been a part of the program for I can't remember, but she was an older student, and I was I really took that to heart of what we talked about and how being involved can open many doors in the future, and that's what I took throughout my years here at being a part of Trio is taking making the most out of those opportunities.
Do we have any more comments or questions for Carlos? You've done a really good job, Carlos.
Hmm.
Thank you.
And what else did he do? What did he make in the past few years? He made a good progress.
Yeah, yeah, on that bar.
Oh yes, that progress bar kept creeping up year by year, and that felt good. That feels good.
Nick has a question. What is your favorite class you've taken here at Southeastern?
Oh man, Most of my
slash
classes.
favorite professor, in
All
addition.
right. I would definitely say it's not something that I would. That seems pretty obvious. It's more of. It was definitely a gen ed. It was history, U.S. history, and from 1876. That one helped open my eyes. Not because it was interesting, but because it helped open my eyes that I have to get through those obstacles to overcome. I have to overcome those obstacles to get the big picture in life. Is that life will always throw obstacles at you. But you have to, in order to overcome those obstacles, you have to be determined. So that really helped me understand that going through that obstacle of that course, that one was a tough course. I am where I am now because I overcame that hurdle.
I was a bit confused at first and wanted to ask you to clarify, are you referring to obstacles in the US history or class itself being an obstacle? But
Yes,
you clarified that.
I would
And what,
say
Jamie wants to know, what was your hardest class?
I would definitely
Apart,
say it was this semester. I definitely did struggle this semester with the assignments. So it was classroom management, and the reason I struggled because I wasn't a reader. I definitely did not like reading books, and we were required to read two books. It was the first one was about a girl experiencing trauma in her early childhood and how that changed her view of the world. And then the second one was about different experiences of trauma for children. It was uh, a whole list of children who have experienced trauma, and that was tough to be able to comprehend how putting myself in that experience and how to be able to function and live day by day with those that that PTSD. It really does affect someone. So classroom management was definitely a tough one because it was a lot of research.
is that that's a required class for education
That
major?
is, yes. It is a required class. It's a you have to be accepted into teacher education services
Mhm.
before being able to take that one.
I think one of your greatest strengths is you've approached everything here, even though like you've had to reach out because of support you didn't, have at home because you're a first generation college student. You ask lots of questions and you have the willingness to ask and you have the open mind to ask. So I honestly think that's a really good asset for your future, no matter what you do.
And that's another good advice in the voice of Cameron. Always ask questions. Always ask questions.
Which we've had some good questions. I'm glad people are asking them.
Oh yeah,
This
that
might be the most so far. So out of the four, I think Carlos is winning as far as the questions leader, questions being asked.
So
they are.
when the class that you took US history that was hard, how were you able to, you said once you got over it, it was something like, okay, like I can do the rest of these classes, or it helped you be more encouraged to continue working on your degree progress. What what about what helped you to pass that class?
I would say
Rather than
that
just give up. That's more of my question. What helped you to continue working to pass that class rather than just saying, this class is hard, it's a gen ed, I'm not interested in it. What helped you to keep on going and succeed in that class?
I would definitely say find an alternative to studying because at that time AI was fresh. It was building its way up into what it is now. And so at that time they were coming out with new studying strategies, and that was me copying and pasting my notes that I would have for that class, and then putting it into that AI database, and they broke it down into flashcards, and that really helped me to understand the concept more of the of the material. And I know the AI is controversial, but that's one way that I had to. That was I feel like a tool that I used throughout my college experience that has helped me to where I am at
Using
today.
AI to help you rephrase what the material was
Yes,
and present it to you in a way that helped you to study.
that's right.
Real quick before we wrap up, Jamie had another questions. What are your methods to recenter yourself when you feel overloaded? We can finish with that.
I'm not the best person to ask that question because even though I had all the advice and I was given all the tools uh to be able to overcome that overwhelming sensation, I still felt overwhelmed because I'm a procrastinator. I would wait till like the last day to submit those big assignments that were due. But I would say definitely reach out to um they have the pre-trio programs has an academic success coach in Rachel, and she really helped me understand different um time management skills that really helped me break those big tasks down into small steps, and that's what helped me take it day by day. Don't look at the end goal. Take it day by day and break those big steps into small steps.
And
But
Rachel's
I
on
didn't
Discord, so shout out to Rachel.
shout out
Yeah.
Rachel.
Well, Philip and I and the audience would like to thank you very much for your great answers and thoughtfulness and being thorough and explaining everything about your story of what led you up to Trio, how Trio helped you, and how it's going to help you in your future teaching career. And thank you very, very much for showing how TRIO works here at Southeastern, but also helps and works for every student in any type of TRIO program. So thank you very much, Carlos.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to come on here and express my experience.
Thank you, Carlos.
Next week on the 21st, on the 27th, on the 28th, we will have Elizabeth Gordon. So I forgot today is the 21st, and then I looked at the calendar and I saw the 27th, but it's actually Thursday the 28th. We will have Elizabeth Gordon, who's Student Support Services Director at Rogers State University, and she was actually on to listen to you, Carlos. So we're trying to make a connection between each week of the speaker from one week to the next. So Elizabeth will do a great job, and thank you very much, and stay tuned for next week, everybody.
Thank you all. You gotta run on a boat.